If you send one more message, you might lose her forever. That sounds dramatic, right? Good. Because most people don't realize this until it's too late. They think more effort equals more attraction, more attention equals more connection. But what if I told you? Sometimes the exact opposite is true. Stay with me because what I'm about to explain isn't obvious. And once you see it, you won't unsee it. Picture this. You meet someone. There's a spark. She laughs at your jokes, replies quickly, maybe even starts conversations herself. Everything feels easy, natural, and then something shifts. Her replies slow down. She stops asking questions. Your messages start feeling like effort. Now here's where most people go wrong. They panic, they double text, they overthink every word. They try harder, give more attention, become more available, thinking it will fix things. But instead of pulling her closer, it quietly pushes her away. Why? Because attraction doesn't grow in pressure. It grows in space. Let me tell you a short story. There was a guy, let's call him Armin. Armin was smart, funny, and genuinely kind. When he met someone he liked, he gave his full attention. He replied instantly. He made time no matter how busy he was. He thought this showed value. But every time the same pattern happened. Things started strong, then faded. One day, something unexpected happened. Not a strategy, not a trick, just life. He got busy, work piled up, his routine changed. He didn't have time to check his phone every hour. He wasn't ignoring anyone intentionally, he just had other priorities. And suddenly, everything changed. The same women who had been distant started reaching out more. Conversations felt balanced again. Interest came back. That's when it hit him. It wasn't about playing games. It was about how he was showing up. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to hear. If someone feels like they already have full access to you, they stop valuing that access. Not because they're bad people, but because human nature works that way. We are wired to notice what might slip away, not what's always guaranteed to stay. Think about it. Do you constantly think about something that's always available to you, anytime, without effort? Or do you notice the things that feel rare, limited, or uncertain? Exactly. Now let's clear something up before we go further. This is not about being cold. This is not about being rude. And it's definitely not about trying to control someone. It's about self-respect. There's a difference. When someone consistently ignores your messages, they're communicating something, even if they're not saying it directly. And your response to that matters more than you think. Most people respond emotionally. They chase clarity. They seek reassurance. They try to win back attention. But here's the shift. Instead of asking, how do I get her to respond? Ask, why am I chasing someone who isn't meeting me halfway? That single question changes everything. Let's slow this down. Imagine you send a message. Hours pass, no reply. You check your phone again, still nothing. Your mind starts creating stories. Maybe she's busy. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I should send something else. And right there, you're hooked. Not by her, by uncertainty. Here's what most people don't realize. Uncertainty creates emotional investment, but only when it's mutual. If only one person is unsure and the other is constantly available, the balance breaks. And when the balance breaks, attraction fades. So what happens when you stop chasing that imbalance? At first, it feels uncomfortable. You'll want to reach out. You'll want to fix the silence. You'll feel like you're losing control. But something interesting starts to happen. You regain your center. Your time is no longer revolving around someone else's response. Your attention returns to your own life, your work, your goals, your interests. And without even realizing it, you become more grounded, more stable, more interesting. Because here's the thing. People aren't attracted to neediness. They're attracted to presence, to someone who has direction, to someone who isn't constantly seeking validation. Let's go back to Armand for a second. After he noticed the shift, he didn't suddenly become distant or cold. He just stopped over-investing. He replied when he had time. He focused on his priorities. He didn't try to force conversations that weren't flowing naturally. And something subtle but powerful happened. The conversations that remained felt effortless. No pressure, no chasing, just mutual interest. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. When you stop overgiving attention, you create space. And in that space, curiosity grows. Why hasn't he replied yet? What is he doing? Why does he seem different? You're no longer predictable. And unpredictability, when it comes from confidence, not confusion, is magnetic. But let me be clear about something important. This only works when it's real. If you're pretending to be busy but secretly waiting for a reply every minute, it shows. If you're ignoring messages just to get a reaction, it backfires. Because authenticity always leaks through behavior. This isn't about acting. It's about shifting your focus. Here's a simple way to understand it. When someone shows consistent interest, meet them there. When someone pulls back, don't chase. Create space. Not as a tactic, as a standard. And this brings us to something deeper. Respect. People often talk about attraction, but respect is what sustains it. If someone feels like they can treat you however they want, and you'll still be there, respect slowly disappears. Not all at once, but little by little. And without respect, nothing meaningful lasts. So what does self-respect look like in this situation? It looks like not over-explaining yourself, not sending multiple follow-ups when there's no reply, not tolerating inconsistent behavior while giving consistent effort. It looks quiet, but it's powerful. Let me give you another scenario. You're having a conversation. It's going well. Then suddenly, she disappears for a day, then comes back like nothing happened. Most people ignore this pattern. They continue the conversation like everything is normal. But over time, this creates a dynamic where your attention is steady, and hers is optional. And guess who ends up more invested? Exactly. Now imagine a different response. She disappears. You continue your life. You don't rush to respond the second she returns. You match the energy, not out of ego, but out of balance. What happens? The dynamic shifts. You're no longer the constant. You become someone whose attention has weight, and weight creates value. Here's something else people rarely talk about. When you constantly chase someone's attention, you're not just lowering your value in their eyes, you're lowering it in your own. Every time you ignore your standards to keep someone interested, you send yourself a message. My time matters less. And that internal message affects everything. Your confidence, your decisions, your energy. So the real question isn't, how do I make her interested again? It's, am I showing up in a way that reflects my worth? Because when you do that, the right people stay, the wrong ones fade, and the confusion disappears. Let's tie this all together. If someone is genuinely interested, you won't have to chase their attention constantly. There will be effort from both sides. Not perfect, not immediate all the time, but consistent. And if that consistency isn't there, don't try to force it. Don't try to outwork it. Don't try to overthink your way into fixing it. Step back, refocus. Let your actions reflect your standards, not your fears. Because here's the final truth most people miss. The moment you stop trying to be chosen, you become someone worth choosing. And that shift, it changes everything. So next time you feel the urge to send that extra message, pause. Not to play a game, but to remember who you are outside of that conversation. Because the strongest position you can ever be in is not needing a response to feel okay. And once you reach that point, you'll notice something surprising. You're no longer worried about being ignored, because you're no longer ignoring yourself.